June? Sandy, was it June? When you first emailed me?
Yes.
It was June. So in June, I got an email from somebody that I had never met who came to our last show. And she said she wanted to be a part of it. Now, I get emails from a lot of people who say they want to be a part of the show, and then I never hear from them again. And this lady showed up, and boy, did she show up. And she is smart, and she is funny, and she is super snarky. And I would like for you to meet the fabulous and wonderful Miss Sandy Tobias.
I'm not going to sing, so you better be glad about that. And I do have to, oh no, I'm getting there. Like she said, my name is Sandy, and in 9 days, I'm going to mark the 5th anniversary of my mom's death. She died very suddenly, very unexpectedly, and I was devastated. And that heartbreak, combined with the depression that I'd been feeling since I was about 10 years old, did nothing but immobilize me. I didn't know what to do, where to go, who I was, who I could talk to, what was going to come next, how was I going to live without my mom. I didn't know what to do, and I was that way for a very, very long time. And I still have my dad and my brother and my son, who I love very much, but who don't get me, who don't see me like my mom did. So it's not the same. They're not going to come anywhere close to filling the hole. So I had to find another way to work on myself and my grief and to move forward with what I was going to do now, because I had to do something, right? The world didn't stop, although I wish it had some days. So for the better part of 5 years, I've been trying to figure out what the fuck to do now. Because every single day I still wake up and my mom is still gone. And it's nearly as upsetting as it was the first day. I was stuck. I've been stuck. The grief kept me stuck, the depression had kept me stuck, so the two together, I was really stuck. Even though I worked real hard to find a way to move through it, to move forward, I was unsuccessful. I was unsuccessful for a very long time. Being stuck is scary because things have to happen. In your head, you know they have to happen, but in your head and in your heart, you don't know how to make them happen. That something is wrong, something is very wrong, it's not going to get better, it's not going to get fixed. And for a long time, I faked like I was okay, I lied that I was okay, I tried to distract myself with other things to pretend that the bad things weren't there. Some of them worked for a little while, and some of them didn't work at all. Faking it, I was very, very bad at. Anybody who knows me knows that's very true. Not gonna fake how I'm feeling and just suck at it. If I say everything's fine, it's really probably not. The thing is, that kind of suffering and being lost can't last forever. It's not physically possible to maintain that kind of devastation and being petrified like that all the time, and lost and scared. It's just not physically possible. So you have to figure out a way to move forward. And in my head, I knew I had to figure something out because I couldn't spend the day in bed for the rest of my life. The only time I would get up is because I had to let the dog out to pee. If I didn't have the dog, I probably would never have gotten out of bed. But I didn't want her to pee in my house. I loved her very much, but I wasn't going to let her pee in the house. So there's a lot of trial and error in figuring out how I was going to move forward, because I really didn't know what to do, and I could not tell the difference anymore between the grief I had over losing my mom and just the general depression that I had off and on, for the last 30-something years. You get used to that on some level. So I tried things, and the faking it, the lying, the distractions, and one day I even tried to die over it. And clearly that didn't work. But so when even that didn't work, I figured out I really had to come up with an actual solid plan. None of this other shit for the last 3, 4, 5 years has helped me. I'm still in the same place. I'm still a scared little girl who wants her mom all the time. I'd had therapy, I had medication, and luckily I had the support of people like my best friend, who unfortunately were already members of the Dead Moms Club, which is a really shitty club. But the women who I knew were already in it held space for me, continue to hold space for me when I need it. And without those 3 things, my people, my therapist, my medication, it's a great little 3-wheeler thing I had going there, those 3 pieces. But then I got lucky, and about a year ago, last January, I stumbled onto the If You Could See Me project. And I stumbled onto an event just like this. And I went by myself, and I loved it. I'm like, these are my people. Because everybody's messed up. No one's pretending they're not messed up. So in June, I emailed Erin, and I started taking her Restory class. If you've ever had a class with Erin, you know how wonderful that is. And I met a lot of these wonderful ladies you're going to hear from later. And being with these women and being amazed by them just became the 4th little pillar to my grief vehicle, how I was going to get out of this. I needed the drugs, I needed the therapy, I needed my Dead Moms Club, and I needed these women. And then in October, after I finished the Restory class, I went to another event similar to this. Several speakers came. And then Erin decided to draw names out of a hat of anyone who had volunteered to come up here and give a couple minute spiel after everybody else was done. Very informal. And for some reason I volunteered. And for some reason my name was chosen. And so I got up and I babbled for about a minute and a half, what felt like an hour. And I was able for the first time to let go of the anger I had over my mom's death, which was pretty much the last stage of grief I had managed to not go through. They're not linear, but I had never really gotten to that one. But I stood up and I explained to people that I didn't know that I was mad at my mom. And I had always been afraid to do that because I felt guilty about being angry at my mother, who I loved so much and who was such a wonderful person. And I was a good daughter. I was going to bitch about my mother. I mean, that's just rude. But it turns out when I did that, when I accepted the anger and I acknowledged it, I didn't feel guilty about it. I felt good about it. And I felt like she would have understood. And I know that other people understood because they told me they did. So I let go of that anger on stage in front of Erin. And it just kind of happened. It was very organic. But the other unexpected thing that came from that was when I moved that anger out of the way, it turns out I made room for some other good stuff in my life. Things I didn't know I was missing. Things that clearly there was not going to be room for until I dealt with all that stuff. And very quickly, surprisingly enough, good things started happening. And I realized that acknowledging my feelings, allowing myself to feel them, being honest about them, was the only way that I was going to move forward. As long as it had taken, and I'm not done. I'm not done grieving. Everything's not okay. My mom's still dead, and I still hate that. But I found room now for other things that are good in my life. And if I can remember to keep feeling my feelings and being honest with myself and leaning on my people, then I'll continue to feel a little bit better every day. And I hope you all can do that with whatever you're trying to survive. Thank you.